Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. For this build, I wanted to do a bit of pre-building for the Business and Hobbies expansion pack, which is coming out in a couple weeks. This pack will allow you to set up small businesses on the same lot as a residential lot, so we are finally getting legit mixed-use lots. I personally can't wait for this pack. I've been excited since they announced it, but I'm especially excited after seeing the gameplay trailer, which I think was released earlier this week. I love that there seems to be a huge amount of versatility in what you can do when you set up a small business, and it's not just one thing. If you want to set up a gym, it's not just a gym. You can also sell items, you can include a bar, because why not? You know, for me, this makes it potentially nearly unlimited, and it makes it like it's a little exploity, but you could potentially set up multiple businesses on the same lot depending upon what you have in those areas, I guess. So if you can set up like one building, it's a gym, one building, put in a bar, you know, so forth. It seems pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, going back to this build, I wanted to lay out a building that you'd see kind of like in a small town. So I created a building that, again, older style building that includes an apartment on the second floor, but the first floor is basically a blank space that you can set up for whatever type of business you want to do. The lot itself does include a little bit more than that. I built this on the 30 by 30 Tranquil Crescent lot in Newcrest. It's one of the lots towards like the bottom of the world, like near where like the little river thing is. I don't know. The lot is pretty big for what I was trying to do. So in addition to the main apartment storefront building, there's attached building that I'm basically treating as kind of like an empty shell. I did add some lights and curtains so it won't look completely empty, but it is basically filler. With that said, once you get the pack, if your small business is successful enough and you want to expand, you have a whole other building right there. Behind this building, I also include a small parking lot and a playground. The parking lot is definitely superfluous because we don't have cars, but I could potentially see using this space to set up like a small outdoor market or something along those lines. I think there are a few different like stall things from what we've seen in the trailers that I think you could potentially set up back there and, you know, sell stuff. Or if you don't have or if you're not gonna have the new kit, you could set up like a yard sale table from one of the other packs and sell some stuff in the parking lot. I don't know, but it's there. So there's also a playground. There are technically some playground areas across the street from this lot, but I did like the idea of having something closer to the walking path behind the lot. And if there are actual multi-unit apartment buildings, I can see the owners coming together and putting a playground in the back. The only thing about the playground is I'm not sure if you'll get people using it, because I think with the new pack, like the overall lot will be like residential and you'll have like a small section set up for like a community or retail. So usually Sims don't just come randomly use your retail space, your residential space. I'm not sure how this will translate in game, but just something to maybe keep in mind. We'll find out more in a couple weeks once the pack's actually released. But yeah, and then speaking of multi-unit apartments, I do think there is a bit of missed opportunity with this pack in that you cannot set up residential rentals and small businesses on the same lot, or at least it doesn't seem that way from what we've seen so far. I get that this would probably be a big lift, and honestly it's probably for the best, because at the time of this recording anyway, a lot of people are having issues with corrupted saves because of the rental lots. So yeah, so that's something that needs to be addressed. But honestly, for many small towns that have mixed-use buildings like this, you're gonna have typically more than one apartment above the building, especially if it is more than 2 stories. With that said, it's not a huge deal, but it is something I would have liked to have seen. I'm also perfectly fine with using filler to make the lot feel a lot fuller than it actually is. For this build, I did create a whole other building that I think could be used. I've also used buildings from the live edit menu in the past, kind of like those buildings that just appear in the background of your world. Those are accessible through cheats, so you can kind of use them just to kind of fill it out. A couple years ago, I did create I did create a lot in Tartosa, kind of like a little small town thing, using a lot of the live edit buildings. So I'll link to that below if you're interested, but you can kind of go either way. Anyway, back to this build. This was only created using base game. It is designed to be used with business and hobbies, but with a few tweaks, I can see the storefront being used in a variety of lot types. You wouldn't be able to officially live in it if you turn it into like a get to work retail shop, for example, or a bar. But us simmers, we've been kind of getting around that for a while. As long as you have a bed, you can sleep anywhere. So even if it's not technically your house, you can still treat it like a home. You might have random people coming in at all hours of the day, but you know, us simmers, we're used to that too, I guess. For the store though, I did include some furnishings at least. The restrooms are fully built out, and I did build out a small kitchenette that I was kind of envisioning as like an employee lounge. I also include a sales counter. For me, those type of things would come standard if you're buying or renting a storefront anyway. Granted, you can update them however you see fit, but you're likely to at least get some basics and not a completely empty shell. For the larger front window areas, I did put them up on the platform. I wasn't sure about doing this at first, and it's honestly not necessary, but I think it would make sense if you use these for displays. The buildings themselves are inspired by, well, pretty much any small town building, at least in my area. I live in the mid-Atlantic, so most of our towns have buildings that are over 100 years old. Most of them were probably all residential or mostly residential at one point, but over the years, like the first floors have been converted to storefronts, kind of give like a little Main Street vibe. So for the apartment, I added a 2 tile wide section between both buildings that would work as the apartment entrance. In many buildings like this, at least from what I've noticed, the apartments would have their own entrances, as they may not be rented or owned by the store owner who has the first floor. Granted, I know it's not how it's going to work in this pack. You're basically going to own the entire lot, but it still seems realistic to me to have it kind of separate. So yeah, there you go. With all that said, I've set up the top floor of the building as an apartment, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. With a few tweaks, I can see this being used as a classroom space, as that is something you can do in the new pack, or as another business entirely. Even though a single lot is considered one small business, kind of like I mentioned before, depending upon what items you have, you could have different spaces serve entirely different functions. We should know a bit more about what's coming out in a few weeks. We did get a fairly in-depth gameplay trailer, but I think the Sims team are still planning to do a live stream as well to shed some more light. So yeah, anyway, that's the build. I will let you guys get back to the rest of the speed build, and I will see you in a bit for the lot tour. All right, my friends, so here we are in New Crest at the Tranquil Crescent 30 by 30 lot. This is the lot that's kind of across from the little waterfront properties here. So this is my storefront and apartment, very original name. But the idea here is this darker gray building would be the one you would actually live and work in. So this one has basically the empty storefront on the first floor and then a full apartment on the second floor. This building off to the side is really filler. I left a billboard in there, so we're gonna get rid of that. So yeah, there's actually nothing in this building, but it is an actual legit building, so you can expand into here if you want. I didn't include it in the speed build, but I did add some like curtains and some lights in here just so it doesn't look like completely pitch black or empty if you're looking into it. But yeah, let's do a little quick tour. So coming around to the back, we have the parking area. I tried to line it up because on this lot you kind of have like a break in the little planters, so in theory, if there were cars, like if there's no like ramp, they could drive up here, park in here. Like I said, this is absolutely superfluous, but I think there's going to be stalls that you can set up. So if you want to set up a little shop out here, or if you don't get the pack, if you have like city living, for example, there's a yard sale table you can set up and sell stuff out here. One thing I do want to call out in this parking lot is that we don't have a lot of parking lot assets, which would make sense because we don't have cars. So these lines are little runners that I sized down and kind of put into place. So I cut a lot of that out of the speed build because there were a ton and it took a while. So it works out. I think if you have spot A, there's like a lighted little white strip that works a little bit better, but I was trying to keep this base game only, so yeah, just there's that. So we also have the little playground area. This is just a little the monkey bars, little pirate ship thing. This is basically a custom sandbox tip I saw a few weeks ago. I think I used it for another build. Is if you use the sand terrain, you can basically create like a little sandbox because you can click on it and you can click playing sand. So I thought that was pretty cute. Other than that, not a whole lot outside. So we have, little kind of walking path going around. I did try to open up the fence so your Sims could walk out here, walk to the path that's part of the world if they wanted to. So yeah, so going into the building, so the first floor is, again, this is kind of be your empty space use as your retail store or your whatever type of business you want to set up. I did include a few things. So I put up some platforms for these front windows. I think like I mentioned in the speed build, if you wanted to like use this as like a little display area. I did fully flesh out like a little employee lounge. So it's got a fridge, a sink, and a microwave, and a little table, and some lockers. We have a couple bathrooms, which they have windows, but they have curtains so you can't see in. And that's pretty much it. I wanted this to be a blank slate so you can come in and put whatever stuff. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what like decor options, what build options are coming in the pack. So, there might be some new flooring or some new walls that'll work well here. So it's basically a blank slate. Do whatever you want with it. This little section right here is basically just a stairway to get up to the second floor. And then this is just the blank shell of a building. Like I said, I could easily see putting another little business in here or just leaving it blank, making it residential, whatever you want. It really was just to kind of fill out the lot. Going up to the second floor, kind of the same deal on this side at least. So just an empty building. They said I did put curtains up, so at least looks like there's something going on in here, as well as lights. This is just the hallway into the apartment. And then here is the apartment itself. So it's actually fairly big for what it is. So it's a kitchen, little living room area, little entranceway. I did use the new doors, the new base game doors, quite a bit because they're pretty awesome. I also used the base game cabinetry in the kitchen. And then yeah, we have what I would consider like the master bedroom because it has like the attached bath. Again, used the new base game cabinets in here too. And then the kids' room, I just put 2 beds in here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I did use the new tile in the bathrooms. Like I said, I love the new stuff they released as part of like, I think like the 25th anniversary celebration. It was like 70 base game items and they all look really, really nice. So I've been using them quite a bit. Kind of makes me wish they would refresh some of the other items because the new items make the older stuff look a little rough. But yeah, so this is, like I said, I set this up as an apartment. With the new pack, my understanding is you can set up a small business. You don't necessarily have to live in it. So you could treat this as a residential lot and live in the apartment, or you can just turn this into a small business. I can see you clear out the furniture in here. You can use this for maybe like classrooms, or some people have been kind of saying that you could maybe create like a hotel. I don't know about all that, but maybe, keep a bed in here. You can maybe treat this as kind of like an Airbnb someone can rent out. I'm not sure how the mechanics will work for the new pack, but there's a few options. So, but yeah, that is pretty much pretty much it. All right, so like I mentioned, this is up on the gallery. It's just called Storefront and Apartment. My gallery tag is DorianKoholi, same name as my YouTube channel. Apparently, this slot was shared in 2051, so cool. We're living in the future, y'all. It is a little pricey, but for the size of it and everything that's included, I think that makes sense. But it is all base game, so you don't need any other packs to download it. You exactly don't need any other packs to use it once Business and Hobbies comes out. There's ways to, you know, get around it. You can still create like a retail space and just have it all as retail, or do however. But the intention is that it's a residential lot with a small business attached to it, and you can live above the business. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for checking out another speed build. Let me know if you'd like to see any more kind of like pre-built lots like this for the new pack, because I could see the potential of turning like this like area of Newcrest into kind of like a little Main Street area. So putting a bunch of buildings, putting a bunch of small businesses together, I think that could be pretty cool. Let me know if that's something you would like to see. Even if outside of that, I am very, very excited for this pack. I think it comes out in a couple weeks at this point, and we've had the gameplay trailer, which I will link to in the description. I'm hoping we'll get a little more info from the live stream whenever that's happening. I don't think they've scheduled it yet, but yeah. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, please consider dropping a like. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I am trying to grow the channel. You guys have been very helpful in making that happen, so thank you. With all of that, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.